Hey guys, welcome to Smooth's Workshop. Terry here. Right, there has been a follower. I'm actually getting followers. Ooh, a follower on my Smooth's Workshop YouTube channel who is in the middle of a bike build. I build bikes all the time, and I'm getting better with every one that I build. And he was asking, it gets quite confused at what stage do you glue things together, what stage do you paint things, that sort of thing. So I have decided to do, although I've done a lot of bikes before, I haven't videoed any of the builds before, and I've now got my airbrush and everything sorted out, so I'm really chuffed with that. I'm going to do a full build on this bike. Just give me 2 seconds, I was just going to check something there. I'm actually doing this for a group build as well, on the International Scale Modelers Forum. Paul, one of the guys that runs the forum, is doing a little group build just for fun. It's a 2016, it's not an ISM build, he's just called it the Wheelie Good Car and Bike Build. And I was just checking there, yeah, that's what it's called. It's just a little fun build. There's a lot of sponsored group builds and SIGs and everything going on at International Scale Modelers just now. But anything with wheels, cars and, that sort of thing. Feel free to go along to International Scale Modeler and register for the site. It's not a critique group. This is one of the things I like about it. They encourage people to build models. They don't critique your build unless you ask for it or asking for tips. How can I do this? How can I do that? And everybody's always learning, so we share information. We don't. Somebody might not be very good at building a model, but we don't shoot them down in flames. So get yourself along to the International Scale Modeler site, www.intscalemodeler.com. Register for the forum and join in some of the group builds. Pick the guys that have been doing it for years, knowledge and skills. So anyway, that's that bit out of the side. So I'm also putting this into Paul's little build. Right, this is just for Tony from Helgen 35's workshop. Ooh, look what I've got. Ooh, yes, it's an oil from Mig Abteilung from the Fantasy Modelling colour range, and it's really good for pin washes and stuff. And it's ABT F510 Starship Filth, and it really is hard to get hold of. My partner's going to be doing a couple of Bandai kits, C3PO and R2D2 and R5D4, R4D5, whichever one it is. And she managed to get this shipped to the UK, including shipping, for about £5.10. A little bit more expensive than they normally cost, but she got it from off eBay for someone in France. Once I found out she'd actually ordered it, I said you should have got 10. So I'm going to see if I can get some more, but I finally have a tube of the much looked for Starship Filth. Ooh, so that's a wee shout out to Tony and Fox, who had, we joke about it, they've bought up all previous stocks of Starship Filth and nobody else could get it, so that was a little joke at them, but I've got some. Hey, so that's added to my collection. I don't tend to weather my bikes. I do them in factory showroom condition, but on this bike, it's basically, the bike itself is mostly a semi-gloss black. Bikes, engines and stuff don't tend to get lacquered. I know a lot of the builders will do weathering effects on it and lacquer them and clear coat them and all the rest of it. Nah, I'm not going to be doing that. Apart from on a couple of parts, maybe like a carburetor and that, I'm going to do a pin wash on it just to highlight detail on it. It's not going to be getting rusted up, it's not going to be getting dirtied up. I like them in showroom condition, but I think on the especially on the carburetors, the aluminium carburetors, a little pin wash of the Starship Filth will just pick out all the accents and the details on it. So I mean, and possibly on the rear carrier for the foot pegs might benefit from it. But really, there's not going to be much on this. It's going to need any weathering. So that was just a wee bit about international scale modelers and this model, why I'm building it, and I've managed to get some Starship Filth. Just showing off really. Right, I've already done an inbox review of this kit. It's available on my YouTube channel. And it is a kit from the 1980s, Yamaha RZ250. In the UK it is RZ250 LC. It's a 2-cylinder, 2-stroke. I rode one in my youth. It was a gorgeous bike, but when I look at it now compared to I've got Suzuki GSR 750 2013. That's the bike that I actually ride. Actually, I might flash a little picture up to let you see what I ride. There you go. That's why I like bikes. This kit was made in the 1980s. It's Tamiya's part number. There's a whole range. There's about 140-ish bikes in the range, starting from 14001, going all the way up to the new ones, which is like 14135 or thereabouts. This is 14002, the second bike that Tamiya ever made. It's out of production and it's extremely rare. And if you've watched my my kit review and my unboxing, you will have seen my devastation. Think there was a part missing. There's not. Everything's here and it's complete. So, looking through the kit, we've done this already. My main concern in the build is the Tamiya's chrome parts. Now, the later, I'm sorry, this shows up really rubbishy on the light in the camera. Chrome sends lots of reflections. But the later Tamiya kits, the chrome effect on them is really, really good. And they've actually managed to, where the injection of the polystyrene goes into the mould, on the later ones they've taken particular care of how the tabs connect to the parts, so that when you cut them from the sprue, that you're only losing a tiny little bit of chrome and you can touch it up with maybe some Tamiya X11 chrome, and it's in an area that's not really seen. However, on this bike, I'll put the rest of the kit parts apart just now because I'm going to concentrate on prepping the chrome parts. And I'm going to use a technique called the bleach method because I don't want the chrome on these parts. On the real bike, the RZ250 LC, front wheels were not chrome. They were aluminium wheels. They had black in all the recesses, a semi-gloss black in all the recesses, and the highlighted edges were actually a machined aluminium. So there's no need for chrome at all on these wheels. Similarly, the link rod for the back brake here, the actual lever part was a painted steel, and the rod was also mild steel. It wasn't chrome, so that's got to come off. The front brake discs, the centres again were a semi-gloss black, and they're a steel disc, so there's no need for them to be chrome whatsoever. So the chrome's got to come off of them. I think this is a caliper. I'm not quite sure. I haven't checked. I need to check the instructions. It looks like a caliper half, part 12. Calipers on this bike are a matte black or possibly a slight gunmetal colour. Again, they don't need to be chromed. You can't paint on top of this stuff. It just wipes off. So they need stripped. The carburetors that are on the bike, carburetors are made out of aluminium. No need for them to be chromed. That needs stripped. Now, the headlight and the bezel is chrome on the bike. So I'm not going to strip that part, and I believe where the tab goes onto it is at the bottom, and if I can snip it back neat enough, I'll be able to just dab a wee bit of X11 in to hide that, and it'll be at the bottom so you won't see it. So I'm going to use the chrome on the reflector and the bezel on the headlight, so I'm going to keep that. Front forks, the bottom of the fork stanchions is an aluminium colour. It's depicted as chrome here. and then you've got the rubberized seal, the top of the fork seal. Again, it's going to be painted in a rubber black. Paint on top of chrome, no go. Again, the headlight mounts on the bike, they are a semi-gloss black, they're not chrome. So I had thought about how to keep the chrome part of the actual fork tube itself, but upon looking on the back of it, there's ejector pin marks right in the middle of the forks, and ejector pin marks just make it look like a lump of plastic that's come out of mould. So the whole of the forks is going to get stripped and the ejector pin marks cleaned up. The rear foot peg carriers on the real bike, they're like a brushed aluminium, so there's no need for them to be chrome, and the brake lever on the bike was actually painted steel, so there's no need for that to be chrome, and the actual foot pegs are rubber and steel, so there is no need at all for any of this part to be chrome, so that's coming off. I think that's another caliper part, again, that's coming off. Now the rear grab rail for the pillion to hang on to doesn't look too bad chrome wise, and where they have the moulding pins is right at the end of the bar, which kind of tucks down the way anyway, so I'll be able to just touch them up on the end. I'm going to keep the chrome on that. Okay, so right, how do I deal with removing chrome off it? Oh dear. You don't want to be scraping it, you'll lose detail. I mean, there's detail on these discs and everything like that, so scraping is not an option. So it's not actual chrome like you would find on a car, it's a paint simulated chrome. So what I need is a tub with a lid, okay, like so. I will need a brush just to agitate stuff, so that's an old paintbrush, and bleach, any household bleach, doesn't matter if it's thick, doesn't matter if it's thin, just bleach. Some people swear by using oven cleaners. Problem with oven cleaners is they're very toxic. Of course you don't want to drink bleach or anything like that, but I mean, to handle it, it's, you know, it's just like cleaning your toilet. Oven cleaners, they're very toxic, they're very corrosive, you've got to have rubber gloves on and masks on and all that, and a problem, especially with some of the guys that do these Gundam kits and things like that, oven cleaner doesn't like ABS plastic, and if you leave it on too long, if you use industrial strength instead of household strength, it can actually melt away the plastic, but bleach doesn't. So I'm going to take my sprue and I'm going to identify what parts, and I'm just going to put them into slightly smaller parts. So I'm going to keep the headlight, but I'm not going to snip it right down just now. I'm going to keep the V-tab on it. Okay, so that's going off to the side, that's not getting bleached. Similarly, the rear grab rail, I'm not going to bleach that either. And just because I don't want to get into clean up just now, I'm just taking that right off from the sprue with the extra parts on it. That's going off to the side. Everything else is going to get bleached now. Now the wheels themselves, where all the injection marks come in, they actually come in under the tyre. So there's absolutely no problem to just, I can dress them up later with just snipping them off the sprue with my sprue cutters. Right. That looks like back wheel because it's got the drum insert in there, and the front wheel. This is just so that I can fit them all into my tub. Right, front wheel. This part here, it's quite fragile, so I'm going to take that off along with part of the sprue just to keep it supported. Front brake discs, same again. I can dress these up later, but I'm just going to snip these for the sprue. Now, I'm going to do the two of them. This kit, the parts that come with it, is actually the exact same as the 350 version, which is a twin front disc. This only has a single front disc. It's just so I've got a spare, and I don't want the chrome on it anyway, so I'll keep that in my spares bin. So yeah, so that's that. I don't need any of this or any of that. So that's one bit of sprue away in the bin. Right, what are we after now? Front forks. I'm just going to, I can dress them up later. Take the full tab of the sprue away with it. I'll dress it up later once the chrome's off. So that's one front fork. I don't want to get into dressing them up till the chrome's off, so I'm just leaving the tabs on them. Okay, so the front fork. The four little, I can take that away. I don't need that. And I don't need that. I'm just reducing the size so I can get these into my plastic tub. Right, I'm just going to keep these caliper parts and that together, so that can go in. And I've made this a bit awkward, but that'll be caliper part, that can go in, and the other. Everything now fits in my tub, so I have all the chrome parts sitting in the tub. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is just spread them out a little bit. I'll take my ordinary household bleach and I am just going to cover everything with bleach. Good thing is, it's bleach doesn't have that toxic a smell or anything. It's not going to burn your hands off. I'm not even bothering my gloves. But the health and safety aficionados would probably say, yeah, get gloves on. I might have to buy my partner some more bleach, but a lovely smell of bleach, and we'll just. That's going to be good plenty. Okay. So I'm just going to bring the camera in a bit closer so you can see what's happening. There we go. That's all the stuff sitting in the bleach now. All I'm going to do just now is, with this old brush, I'm just going to make sure everything's coated. It's all goopy, icky. I've got a window open, and it's quite stormy up here in Scotland at the moment, so there's been lorries blown over and the bridges were all closed. The world's come to a stop because the storm's coming across from America. Now, I'm just looking at some of these parts already. I don't know if it's just bubbles because they're reacting, or just bubbles because I'm dabbing stuff. Another thing you will need is a pair of tweezers. Have I got tweezers there? That's some thin ones. Yeah. Oh, that's maybe went off camera. A pair of tweezers for when we go to take them out. Because I want to keep this tub of bleach, because I don't. We're getting some reaction already. I don't see the point of wasting the bleach. But I might just swill it out and pour it down the toilet, and then the toilet gets a wee bleach at the same time. So I'm just agitating these at the moment, making sure that the bleach is getting in. Now, I don't know if you can see that there. Already on this sprue, on the plastic part, it's going black. So the plastic colour underneath this is black. So that is already, and I mean, I'm doing this live. I'm not doing any time lapse or anything on it, just to show you how long it takes. Now, it depends on which manufacturer you're trying to take the chrome off with. Some people put better coats on that. It also depends on the colour of the chrome. My partner Susan has got a Bandai kit of C3PO. Now the unfortunate thing about that Bandai kit is it's a beautiful gold chrome and varying shades of gold chrome on his body. And the Bandai kits they're basically toys, you snap them together. But a lot of professional modelers are painting them and weathering them up, and they look fantastic. But the big problem that Bandai did with the C3PO is on his shoulder armour plates, where all these wee sprue connections go on, right in the middle of his shoulder, it's starting to come off, right in the middle of his shoulder, where you would expect it to be a lovely clean chrome and not in a hidden area, they've got one of these sprue connections. So the whole model would have went together beautifully if you didn't want to paint it at all, if it didn't have these marks on the shoulder. So as a result, most people generally strip all the chrome off and paint them up. Now certain colours of chrome, I believe some of the golds on the Bandai kits can take a bit longer. Sometimes these have to be soaked overnight. I'm just giving this a wee play about just now, just to see how long it's going to take the chrome to come off. So while I'm playing with this, and before I get into any of the actual build part of the video, I'll just pause this and I'll come back. I'll take a note roughly what time it is. It's roughly 9:10 at night, and I'll see how long this takes to dissolve the chrome off, and I'll keep playing with this off camera. So I'll see you in a little bit, and we'll get on to discussing the build order and painting order. So, toodaloo for now. Hey guys, welcome back. Terry from Smooth's Workshop here. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff appeared magically via the medium of dance. No, a couple hours has actually passed since the first clip. What I've been doing in between times is, apart from watching a little bit of TV and checking to see how the first part of the video uploaded and all that kind of thing, because I've had problems with lost clips. But anyway, I've been doing a little bit of education, and yeah, 2 hours on. Oh, now I'm just going to wipe this off my fingers. I don't have gloves on. You're supposed to have gloves on. I'll wash my hands in a wee bit. But, bleach isn't as corrosive as some of these other cleaners. Right. What is quite interesting is, you might have noticed, this is the first time I've done bleaching. I've been advised this is the best way to remove chrome, the safest way of removing chrome, the less toxic way of doing it. I've just used an old paintbrush, and the chrome's eating the paintbrush. So I thought that was quite funny. The rest of the guff in the background I'll explain in a wee minute. So this has had, I think I said it was 9:15, 2 hours, just about 2 hours. In between shaking it, maybe every 10-15 minutes I've come up and dabbed the parts. Now, where's my tweezies? There's my tweezies. I do have the window open. Of course, bleach gives off chlorine gas. So you do want a window open. So, okay, let's have a... Oh, right, this is a wheel. I'm just trying to think of the best way to grab this to let you see. Oh dear. Yeah, chlorine fumes. Right, I'm just going to brush the worst of this off. Now, this wheel has had a couple of hours in the bleach solution, and as you can maybe see, if I can brush the worst of it off, the black plastic is coming through already. It's not all off. That's 2 hours. Okay. Now I do know the early Tamiya kits, the chrome, one of the reasons I'm wanting to remove it is it's particularly thick, and thick chrome takes longer to come off. Now this part here is one of the rear foot peg retaining brackets. I'm wiping it here and it's just making it more foamy. This is a learning process for me as well. What I'm basically trying to do is relay in the videos how the process works. So this part, I don't know if you can see, all the chrome's just about off of that bit, yeah, and there's a lot of black coming through now. It's still got to work away on the rest of it, but that's coming up nice. Now let's see what else I can fish out. Fishing about in frothy goodness. I can't see a blooming thing. Oh right, here's another part. Oh right, this is the part with the other, I think it's got carburetors on it. Okay, this was the part that started dissolving almost straight away when we looked at it. See if I can brush some of the froth off. I've got a little bit of it off. Okay, there's the carburetors. There is some, oh, man shot. There's some black starting to come through, and again it's coming off the other foot peg and starting to come off the main part. What I'm trying to find, because I think these were the first parts to start dissolving, was a brake disc. Can I find a brake disc? Oh, what's this part? This is a front. No, this is the rear brake midwifery. It's not really touched much of that yet. It's starting to come off part of the lever part. The main rod hasn't really touched it yet. What else can I fish out? Oh, what's this part? Oh, a front fork, I think this is. Is this a front fork? Yeah, a front fork. I'll get a better grip of this. Right, so one of the front forks, see if I can brush some of the foam off to let you see how that's doing. And where are we at now? Slowly but surely, this chrome's really thick. We're starting to see some of the black plastic coming through. Hopefully you're picking that up on camera. So this is all going to need a lot longer. That's, oh, what's that? That's a front wheel. Similarly, it's starting to go down to the black plastic. I want to find a brake disc. I need to find a brake disc. What's this? Oh, that's the other caliper. That's just about off on that one. Okay, we've done that bit. I'm moving. Do this methodically, Terry. Okay, we've done that bit. Just so I can find the parts. It's a bit like that operation game you used to get when you were a kid, if anybody remembers. You're fishing about with tweezers trying to get it not to go bzzzt. Oh, what's in here? Ah! Ha 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 ha! Right, okay. Look at that with the brake disc. Yeah. Chrome's really coming off quick on that, so that must have been quite a thin coat. So, 2 hours in. I'm just going to wipe the bleach off my tweezies. 2 hours in, we're starting to see some results, but it is by nowhere near finished. And I think to stop my brush totally dissolving away, this is just ordinary tap water, I'm just going to put a little bit of water in the mix so that I've still got something left to agitate it with. That's actually quite funny. So yeah, don't use your best modelling paintbrushes for this stuff. I've got to stick that away to the side. So I've still got some brush left. Oh, that's really quite funny. I've got a glass of water sitting down there. I'm just going to sit it in that. And just remember, Terry, don't drink out that glass of water or you're going to poison yourself. I'll stick the lid back on it. This is, I think it was chicken fried rice a couple of weeks ago, but now it's reusable. Recycle. These things are dishwasher friendly. Right, lid's on. Just give it a good wee agitate. Not so hard you're going to break all the parts, but agitate, agitate, agitate. Right. I'm going to set that off to the side and get on with the main part of the build and just clean up my desk a bit and wash my hands, get the bleach off. Back in a second. Oh, welcome back, Terry from Smooth's Workshop. I have washed my hands to take any bleach off for all those health and safety fanatics out there. Right, this video is my first bike build video, and I'm not going to tell anybody how to suck eggs, but this is how I approach a bike build. So, first off, I'm in the shop, I'm rummaging about, I see a bike that I want to buy. Good thing about Tamiya kits is they're not all sealed in cellophane and everything like that. You can actually get in and lift the lid off the box, have a look at the parts and go, oh nice, but you can pick up the instructions. Now, because this is a very, very early Tamiya kit, normally, as I've explained in the inbox review, the usual, it gives you a photo, artwork and the blah blah blah, this is the bike when it was made. Excuse me 2 seconds, that chlorine is still getting me a little bit. 2 seconds. Normally when you get to the first page of the Tamiya call-out, or the rear page, with the sprues and everything on, it details all the paint colours that you're going to need to build the model. So it's, if you've not got a collection of paints like myself, because I'm always building bikes, so I've got all the colours for the bikes, that's not a problem. If you're new to model building, or you normally build armour, and you want to get one of these 1/12 Tamiya scale motorbikes, they are fantastic kits. Honestly, you've got to build a motorbike. There's a method to doing them that's a lot different from armour building. But you've got to get yourself one of these. So what I do when I'm in the shop is I'll have a look through the instructions and I'll go, alright, now the difference with this being the second ever Tamiya model they've ever made is all the instruction callouts are really clear. Like part C9, part B12, glue this together. This is only saying things like semi-gloss black and chrome silver. In the more recent Tamiya instructions, they actually call out semi-gloss black X18, chrome silver X11 and all that. And as I say, they normally list them. So what I have done is I have worked through the instructions and looked at every single colour that is going to be used in the build. And decided upon, am I going for the black variant or a white variant? I'm going for the white variant. Okay. Now, if you're totally new to model building, this little next bit is for you, the basics, okay? I'm not trying to insult anyone, and this is the tools I'll be using for this build. And then I'm going to go into the paints, okay? So, I'll put the instructions to the side for a wee sec. Now, you've bought your model kit. What do I need to build it? Right, okay. Well, the first thing is, these are made of not expanded polystyrene, you know, the stuff that you get, you know, these quavers and that in your packaging, but they're made of polystyrene. So you need a polystyrene cement. I think I went over in my Welcome to Smooth's Workshop video, which is on my YouTube channel, what I generally use. The glues I'm going to be using on this model. Now, normally when I'm building bikes, I haven't used the Tamiya extra thin glue on bikes before. Basically because the way I build them, I'm detail painting along the way. I'm not wanting to ruin the paint effect by putting an extra thin capillary action glue on that's a hot glue that's going to melt all the paint away. But I will use some of it in some of the build. So that's one kind of glue. the Tamiya cement, right? This is a standard glue that is quite goopy, but it comes with quite a big brush. But it has its uses, okay? And I use them on bikes. That'll become apparent later on. But yet again, my favourite glue of choice is a Humbrol Precision Poly Cement. It's a gloopy glue like the Tamiya one, but it's got a little applicator. For my American friends, an applicator that allows you to basically use pinpoint precision applications of glue on your model. So you need glue, right? So I'm just going to stick them off the side. You need to glue it together. Right, so you've got your glue, you've got your model. What else do you need? Right, you need tools to work on the model. Again, I'm not trying to insult anybody or anything in this video. This is the basic toolkit I will be using to make this model. A sprue cutter. Right, I used to work in the electronics industry, and these were supplied as a tool for basically snipping back when you get a printed circuit board and you're taking the wee legs off and that after soldering to nip them back. It's the same as standard sprue cutters, so they didn't cost me anything. You'll need a craft knife. I use an Exolite, I think it's a mini they call it, with a nice sharp blade in it. Okay. You need to be able to trim back pieces of plastic. If you haven't got sprue cutters, you can cut them from the sprue with a knife. The problem is if you've got really fine parts and you go in with a knife, you might snap them, whereas a sprue cutter lets you take it right back to the sprue stub and then you can deal with it. You will most likely need tweezers. I have sausage fingers. Ooh. So at some point you're going to need tweezers, whether it be for lifting decals out of water or placing a small part. You're going to need tweezers. These were cheap. I got a set of about 4 off eBay for £6–7. I've ordered some Tamiya Precision ones though because I'm a toolaholic. I love my tools. I probably said that in the Smooth Workshop intro. Anyway, I need to try and not waffle on too much because I want to get on with the build and I'm trying to keep the videos under an hour and I'm excited about building this model. I also have a Tamiya paint stirrer. Now you get 2 in a pack and I think they're about a £5. I like, as I've explained in one of my earlier videos, I think it was on when I was doing the T55 tank and my first experiment at airbrushing. One of the main things I like to do before painting anything is prepping my paint. So it's got a big flat blade on one side and it's got a tiny little scoop on the other one. Now you can use that for taking the earwax out your ears if you wish to, and maybe have it in a sandwich. Sorry, random humour. Or on some occasions where you've got just one tiny wee part and it tells you to mix one part of one Tamiya paint to another, you can use a wee scoop just to get it out. Right, what else do I use? Right, you've cut your part off the sprue and you'll be left with a little bit of plastic that isn't supposed to be there. So this is a really cheap diamond file set. It's got a flat one, a half round one, a square one, a triangular one and a round one. Typically use the flat one and file off the rubbish plastic that I don't want as close as possible to the part. So files of some kind. If you haven't got the money for files, you need to learn how to be very careful with your craft knife and trim them back. Some people have a tendency to cut their thumbs. I tend to use that kind of action when I'm trimming them back. But I've got skin like leather. Used to be a mechanic, so calluses, etc. Right, cleaning up the parts. Now, you've done it with the file, but you're maybe on a curved surface. Now, there's this really great products. They're made by a company called Ultimate Modelling Products. Now there are other versions available and other makes, but this is the brand that I prefer to use. So I have got 1, 2, 3 different what they call sanding sticks. Now Sanding stick, basically what is it? It is there's a layer of plastic for rigidity in the middle, and then you've got a layer on either side of foam, and then you've got your sanding medium on either side. Now, this one is from 240 grade. Again, I'll just quickly, when you're sanding stuff down, the higher the number, the more little parts of the abrasive, it's usually aluminium oxide or silicates, the abrasive parts there are per square inch. So the more abrasive parts there is per square inch, the finer it is and the better finish it gives you. So the ones I tend to use is, this has 240 on one side, which is good for taking the initial main part of the plastic off, and it's got a really fine one on the other side, 1200. I don't tend to use that unless I'm starting to get into the finer. Sometimes I will go even finer, I'm going to 2000 grade wet and dry, but anyway, that's just on the bikes. That's things like cleaning up tanks, where I mentioned in the inbox review, and sorry if I'm blabbing on, the white plastic is very, very soft, so if you go in with 240 and you dig it too deep, you're going to be forever trying to smooth it out, and you're going to have to start using fillers and stuff like that. But anyway, 240, I'll take the worst of it off, and then this slightly thicker sanding stick, that's got 220 on both sides. That's the one that I prefer to use on the curved surfaces. It's got a wee bit more give in the foam to take it down. And then when you're getting to finishing stages, especially if I'm gluing two parts of a petrol tank together, and I'll explain later on when I get to that stage why I use gloopy glue to do that. You'll have a seam line between the two parts, and you want to remove that because in real life the tank doesn't have a seam line up the middle. So one side of this, this is what I call a buffer stick. Now I'm just trying to remember what grade the buffer stick is. I've got two new ones here, and here they are. Oh. Buffer triple pack. It doesn't actually tell you the grade, but I believe the green side it's a lot finer than the 2000 wet and dry. Now remembering the other side of this is, sorry for the noise in the background, that's my partner's son having a wee laugh. The finer side of that goes down to 1200, right, which is actually quite smooth and fine. I think this is something crazy like 2400 or 3000. I'll need to ask Paul, but it's really, really fine. So you go in with that, and then you go into the buffer side, and you buff it, and as soon as you hear the squeak, you know that's clean. So that's what I use for sanding. I'll just flash a wee link up here. They come from Ultimate Modelling Products. I've actually ordered some extra stuff. I've ordered some thinny sticks. These are good for the curved surfaces, these ones, but when you're doing a straight edge, you don't want to rip up all the edges of the sanding paper. So you use a thinny stick, which is more solid, I believe. So I've ordered them up from UMP, and I'll be trying them out. I'll probably not get them until Monday or Tuesday, but it's sanding sticks, brilliant, and a buffer. Really, really required a buffer. Doesn't matter what make. If you're doing bikes, you'll need a buffer. Or if you don't have the money to get these at the moment, but you still want a good finish, I use, I'll just pull it out from my stash here. Right, the number on the back there tells you what it is. P2000, that's 2000 grits per square inch or square centimetre, or whatever way they work it. That's finer than the 1200 you get on the UMP one, but it's not as fine as the buffer stick. And you can wet your thing away and buff away with wet and dry if you can't afford the buffer sticks and the sanding sticks. So don't lose heart if you're starting out new and you haven't got money to spend out on all these things. Wet and dry paper, 2000 grade. Don't go for anything less than that. 2000 grade for bikes. The scale you're doing in 1/12, every little scratch shows up. Right, so that's sanding. Sanding and basic tools. Move them aside. So we've done glues, we've done sanding. At some point, whether you paint the model or not, I mean, the white plastic comes in a white similar to what the bike would be, and on this particular kit, the black frame, the black engine is all black plastic, so you could actually glue it all together and not paint it, but you will have to put decals on it. Tamiya decals, this kit has cartographs, so they're quite thin, but they're quite guilty of using really thick decals, and to apply decals, you'll need decal solution. My preferred brand, there's lots of different ones. There's Humbrol Decal Fix. Me and Humbrol Decal Fix don't get on. There's Mr. Hobby Company in Japan. They do a softener and a setter. I don't like them. Sorry, don't like them. The best solution I have found is from Microscale Industries. You can get this from most good modelling outlets. There's a set that helps you put the decal on, and a solvent to help it to conform. So decal solutions, a must. Also on bikes, not this particular bike because there's there's clear parts on it. You can use either good old fashioned, this is for hobbycraft, PVA glue, okay, but I use Microscale Industries Microcrystal Clear, okay, so that's covering the decals and putting clear parts on, how you glue them on. This stuff's also good for if you've painted, say I've painted all the fuel tank and it's all looking lovely, I've got the decals on, I've got it all glossed, and I need to put a petrol filler cap on. I don't want to go on with one of the polystyrene cements because it melts the paint. I can use this stuff, okay. This is just, you don't have to go out and buy all this stuff, you know, but this is what I use. So that's that part dealt with. Right, the next part. Paint. I paint all my models. I'm lucky enough to have an airbrush. Some of you guys won't have an airbrush, but all the Tamiya instructions have call-outs for the colours. So the colours required as per Tamiya, I'll just get the instructions back out briefly. Right, the first part of the build of most of the bike builds is the engine, and it's calling out that the cylinder heads are in a semi-gloss black. Now normally in Tamiya they'll tell you that's X18, and that's exactly what that is. That's X18 semi-gloss black by Tamiya. Okay, they're calling out for the carburetors, which are at the moment getting all the chrome dissolved off them, as a flat aluminium, and they're actually calling out the colour there as XF16, which I have here. That's XF16. So while you're in the shop, you can actually look at these colour call-outs and go, right, I need a pot of that paint, a pot of that paint. Now, most of this engine is basically semi-gloss black X18 and flat aluminium X16, so there's no big issues there. And then you get into the frame part. This is why it's worth looking through all your instructions before you start. Your frame is in black X1, which is a gloss black. Unfortunate part about the way this particular model builds up is the frame goes in two halves around the engine. Some bikes the frame is put together and then the engine is put in, so I'll go into that when I do it, but yeah, so you've got to pre-paint the frame parts in the X1 gloss. Your engine will already be painted, and they're asking for the mudguard to be in X18 semi-gloss black. So yeah, X1 gloss black. Okay, so that's 3 colours so far. We're on to the wheel. They're asking for semi-gloss black. Now that is if it was the chrome. Okay, and you can see they've got highlighted edges and everything on it. Because I'm taking the chrome off, it's still going to go semi-gloss black, but on the edges that would normally be chrome, I'll be going in with the flat aluminium X16 or possibly chrome X11. So for me, I'm on to possibly 4 paints. Sorry for being so long-winded. I'm trying to make this easy for beginners who have never built a bike before. Right, the next part of the build, they're going on the rear suspension. what I generally tend to do first before the rear suspension and quite early in the build is I paint the chain and sprocket set, because 9 times out of 10 the chain and sprocket set gets glued in between the suspension parts. It's calling out for chrome silver, which is Tamiya's X11. Okay, so that's the 4th pot of paint that you'll need, and the chain being a gunmetal. So the gunmetal in Tamiya is X10. So we're on to 5 pots of paint. They're about £1.40, £1.60 each. So we're on to 5 pots of paint so far. Into the main part, they want the centre standing X1. We've already got that. The radiator here is detailing that they want the mesh part in a flat black, which is XF1. I haven't actually got that part out. 2 seconds. XF1 flat black, are you there? There it is. Got myself a nice wee rack. Just up there with all my paints in. Just to neaten everything up so I can find them. I'll just get this camera back to where it is. Okay, so we're now on to pot number 6, flat black XF1. That's a matte black. X. In the Tamiya colour range, X tends to be all the glosses, so we've got X18, that's a semi-gloss, X1 is a gloss, X11 chrome silver is a gloss, X10 is a gloss, XF is flat, so flat aluminium, flat black, XF. Okay, asking for the radiator, the mesh part to go flat black, and the surround to go in semi-gloss black, which is the X18. Okay, we've got those colours. So we're on to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colours. The exhausts, semi-gloss black, X18. We don't need any more paint for that. Speedo binnacle, again, semi-gloss black, X18. Don't need any more paint for that. And the same for the headlight. Semi-gloss black, so no more paint required for that. Right, we're starting to get details now of the front mudguard, which is one of the body colours. Front mudguard, the fuel tank, the side panels and the rear cowling panels are going to be in the final colour of your bike. Now you can either go for black or white if you're going to be true to the colours that the bike came out in. Now you could do the black X1, okay, that's a gloss black, and you could do the white, I think it's X2, which is a gloss white. You could, but now this is where I'm going to swap onto something else. Whether you've got an airbrush or not, right, Tamiya do a cracking range of rattle cans of realistic colours for the bikes. Now this one is TS26 pure white, but it's quite a translucent white, and I'll explain later on how you deal with translucent paints. But it comes in a rattle can, so if you've not got an airbrush and you hand paint all the rest of the bike, but all the detail parts like the tank and everything, you can spray it with that and you'll get a nice finish, but it wastes a lot of paint. So I decant my paint. I actually, I'll maybe go into that in another video, but I take the top off and a blue tack or white tack, a straw around the end, and I decant it into a little pot. Now these are cellulose based lacquers. They're very, very thin, but the problem is when they come out the tin they're full of gas. So if you decant it into a container, don't put the lid on. Don't do it. Don't do it, because you'll come back in the morning and there'll be an explosion, there'll be white paint everywhere. You have to degas them by gentle stirring, but then it gives you a really nice cellulose based lacquer finish that you can put through an airbrush, and that's what I do with them. It's less wasteful. A tin of that is near enough £7, which is quite a lot of money. Decant them in a little pot. I can probably spray the whole bike with what's in that little pot. Whereas if I was using the can, what I found before I got my airbrush, when I was using the cans, it was 1 can per model, and it's very expensive. So yeah, I decant them, and I take I keep my empty Tamiya paint jars. So that's what I'm going to be spraying my top coat and it's not acrylic, it's lacquer based. It's really smelly, and you need different thinners to clean it up. If you're doing it through your airbrush, you'll need cellulose thinners. That's just for the cleaning of the airbrush. If you're doing it in the rattle can, spray it on, let it dry, give it a nice mist coat, let it dry. Okay, so for me that is, if you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pots of paint at about 140 to 160 a pop, and then a £7 tin of Tamiya top coat. If you don't want to go for a £7 tin of Tamiya top coat, it can be done with X2 white, but it doesn't give a realistic colour for me. So you can go down the cheap route of paying another 160 for a pot of paint, so you're up to 7 pots of paint, or the 6 in the rattle can. I like the colours that you get for rattle cans. Alright, that's pure white, but some of the bikes like the Valentino Rossi bike, you're into really weird metallic shades and all that, and the rattle cans give me what I need for that. So that's that. Okay, sorry for waffling on again. On to the next bit, the forks. The bottom is a mix of chrome silver and flat aluminium. So you're basically mixing one part to another part of these two paints. It's not rocket science. Okay, equal amounts. I'm removing the chrome off, so I'll be going in with just the chrome silver on the actual the fork tubes. They're telling you gloss black, the X1 on the headlight bracket, and they're telling you XF1 flat black for the fork dust seals. Now, I found a really nice colour, and it is the most realistic rubber colour that I have found, and it's made by Tamiya, but it is not on any of their colour callouts for the bikes. So radiator hoses and your any rubber detail, get yourself some of this. It's called rubber black. It's XF85. None of the bike kits call out for it, but it is the most realistic rubber black in scale for the bikes. So if we're building by my method, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You're on to 7 pots of paint now, and a tin of the pure white. Everything else is just repeating colours that you've already got. So this is why it's worthwhile looking through the instructions to see exactly while you're in the shop what colours you're going to need. The tank and the rear tailpiece and everything is all the same colour. There's no more colours in here than what I've got, apart from when you come to the rear light, which is obviously a red colour, and the indicators. Right, now bear with me 2 seconds. The two colours, I don't know if you can hear me, but the two colours they actually call out for, when you're painting your clear plastics, you paint them from the inside, so that way the indicator looks orange from the inside and the rear brake light looks red from the inside. And they call out for, oh god, ew, don't know what that is. I have managed to get oil paint or something onto one of my tins. Don't know how I managed that, but anyway, they call out actually in the instructions on this one for red X7 for the rear brake light. So you're looking at another pot of paint, okay, so you could go right, red X7, and for indicators they call out for an orange. These are just gloss orange and gloss red colours. The colours I prefer to go for realism, and I'll just show you the difference. This is actually like a lacquer. It's clear red X27. Okay, now I paint the tops of my bottles. That is a gloss red paint. That is a lacquer with a tint of red, which looks more like a red clear plastic. Okay, so rather than buying X7 for the same money, get clear red X27. Right, that's another pot of paint, but you need the red for the rear brake light. On the orange, this is a gloss orange. X6, again, I go for a clear orange, X26, and it's lacquer. Well, it's acrylic, but it's a lacquer based with an orange tint through it, and it gives a more realistic colour. Okay, I've painted the tops. That's orange gloss, and it's an orangey lacquer. It calls for X6, but all bikes I do, all bikes. Clear orange, clear red for the brake light and the indicators. So what are we up to now? Oh jings, quite a lot of paint sitting there. Right, so we have, let's just look at this for a matter of a laugh, right? I mentioned in another video, there's no such thing as one colour of black. There's 4 different shades of black there, okay? We've got the X18 semi-gloss, X1 gloss, XF1 flat, XF85 rubber black. So that's 4 different shades of black, okay? So that's 4 pots. Flat aluminium, X16, chrome silver, X11, gunmetal, X10. My preferred colours for doing indicators and rear lights, X27 and X26. So we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tins of paint. Okay, 9 times £1.60. Okay, so you're 20 quid for your paint for this particular model. So you always have to remember when you're buying a model and you're going to be painting it, if you don't already have a stash of paints like I have, how much the paints cost. I tend to buy the paints as I need them. I haven't went out like some of the guys that have got spondoolies and bought a full set of Tamiya and a full set of Mr. Colour and a full set of MIG. I buy the paints as I need them, and luckily enough I've been building bikes long enough that if it calls out for a colour, I've got it. So we're looking at nine pots of paint at about £20 for this model, and then your top coat. You can either go for another £1.60 in the white or £7, depends on the look that you're wanting. So I'm looking there at £27 worth of paint. Of course I decant mine so that I can use it in my airbrush. The other thing, if you're going to be following this build and doing it the same way, I'm not saying that the way I do it is the right way, but it's the way I do it. Before you put any of these paints on, you're going to prime the parts. Priming the parts, I think I explained it briefly in my T55 build. It breaks the surface tension between the plastic and the paint, provides a rough granular surface for the top coats to adhere to. Now there's loads of different primers there. If you want to just go down the cheats route, you can get a big tin of Tamiya fine surface primer. If you've not got an airbrush, and just spray the lot with that colour. You get it in white, you get it in grey. That's about £7 for a tin. Alright. I prefer, although I still use that for certain applications, at the moment, for the bikes, I've got another primer that's coming up that I might do a review on. But for the moment, I'm using MIG surface primers. You get these big 60ml bottles and they're about £5 a pop. Now I'm using 2 on this model. I'm using a grey primer and a white primer. Why 2 different shades? Right, everything that's going to go black or aluminium is going with the grey primer. Main reason for me is there's a lot of black on this bike. If you spray it with grey, you can see one where you've coated. Okay, so that's what the grey is. So what's the point of white primer? Now bearing in mind I'm going to be spraying this on top of white plastic. The tank, the front mudguard, the side panels and the rear cowling. Why am I going white? The paint I've chosen to use, I find whites and yellows and reds really difficult to paint. They need numerous coats. This TS26 Pure White is semi-translucent. So if I go under with a grey or a black primer on that and then put the white on, it's not going to be a pure white. It's going to be tinted with grey. So I go on with a white primer and a white top coat. Makes it harder to see, but it's going to get a couple of coats anyway, but it gives a more realistic colour. And this is where it's a bit like if you're used to building planes and things, it's a bit like pre-shading. You can use the same top coat, but depending on the colour of the primer you put underneath, if you put a black, a grey or a white, you'll get a different result with your top coat. And because this is semi-translucent, I don't want any pre-shading or anything. I want a pure white, which is how the bike came out of the factory, and that's why I'm using white primer. Right, so we're up to, now this sounds really crazy, this is just to let people have an idea. Once you get into building bikes, especially if you're into the Tamiya range, you're going to have this collection of paints. There will be one or two other little pots you might need to buy for different models, but this is the base setup. So you're not going to be spending, what did we say, £20 on them, and then £7 on that, so that's £27, and say a £5 a pot for each of them, so we're up to £37 on paint. The model might have only cost you 20 quid. So I'm just trying to relay how much it costs to do your hobby. So, right, so say we're up to £37. Could leave it at that and I get a perfectly beautiful looking model using the colours that Tamiya asked for. But I'm going to leave it further than that in this build. One of the things is the steel brake discs. The best colour I have found for steel is a colour by MIG, and it's MIG Steel MIG 191, and it's from the metal acrylic colours range. It's only about £3.50 for a 17mm pot. Tamiya pots are only, I think it's 10mm, just checking. They're only 10mm, so they're 160 and they're about £3 odds, but you're getting about twice the paint. So that's another one to add to this pile. So we're looking at 20, 27, 37, say £40 worth of paint there. Right. Could be happy at that, but I'm going another step further because I'm going to do an oil pin wash. The pin wash is just going to be highlighting areas on the bike. And I'm sorry for going so in depth in this, but people have asked, so I'm going in depth. I'm going to do my pin wash with Starship Filth. It's a great, it's hard to replicate, but it's like a mixture of a burnt sienna and a really dark grey. It's ideal for the colours that we're looking for panel line pin washes. So that's a £5. So we'll on to 20, 27, 30, 40, 45 quid we're on to now, and that's just in paint. And to work with that you'll need a wee tub of, you can use turps, you can use anything that you would use, oils, and if you ever use any of the Humbrol enamels, they all use a similar thinner. So there's Humbrol thinners, I mean there's a couple of pound for a wee tub, I think that was £3 or £4. You can use turpentine. You'll need a thinner to go with it. So all in all, if you're starting from scratch and you don't have any paints, you're going to need this kind of stuff, guys. So if you're taking it as a serious hobby, you are going to need to start building up a collection. The only other thing I would add on top of that paint is you can get the small little pots like this size, the 10mm ones of Tamiya X20A thinner. And again they're about 160 or £2. You'll need that especially if you're brush painting, because Tamiya paints dry really quick, but if you're going through the airbrush. This big tub of X20A thinner was about £5 or £6. So if you're starting from scratch and you're looking at just paints for this model, we are £20 in the pots, £7 for the tin, so that's 27, £3 for the MIG, 30, £5 a pot for the two primers, 40, say a £5 for the thinner, 45, £5 for the oil, 50, and about 6 quid for the thinners. £56, that's a lot of money. So if you're a model builder and you've built other stuff, you're going to have thinners, you're going to have primers, you're going to have oils and stuff, and possibly a selection of paints. But for somebody that's thinking about starting up building models, they've got all their tools to buy and their sandy sticks and their tweezers, and of course you've got brushes and that on top of that as well, or an airbrush or whatever, and they haven't done a bike before, and they go with all the colour call-outs, always read the instructions. You're looking at, for a £20 kit, to paint it properly, £55 on top, and I don't think people get the gist of how expensive modelling is. But once you've got over this initial barrier of, you've got a selection of paints, and as I say, I've got mine sitting up there. Now, that rack has 54 Tamiya paints at £1.60 a pop. I didn't buy them all at once. I bought 5 for this model, 4 for this model, didn't have this colour, bought another one. Okay? But it is an expensive outlay. Now, this video is running on some, unfortunately, just basically because I want to go really in depth for guys that haven't built a bike, want to build a bike, somebody that's never built a model before, but wants to build a bike. I think with this clip and the previous 2 clips, we're going to be running at an hour. I'm going to carry on with the video in, but I'm going to call it quits on this section for now. So basically this section has covered removing chrome, how to plan your painting out, what paints you'll need, what tools you'll need, and I haven't even got near putting any of the model together yet. So it's just I tried to make these informative. I was a newbie once. Just somebody's thinking, I want to build a model. Oh, this is a lovely bike. I'll get off eBay, £20, but I want to paint it. How much is it going to cost you? Depends how detailed and accurate you want to go. Okay? If you've never built a model before, it's a really hefty initial outlay. And what you're looking at here is just paints. That you're going to have to buy some brushes, a pack of brushes, say Humbrol brushes. It's going to be another £5, and you can just brush paint it all. You know, you don't have to do the oil wash. You don't have to use the MIG metal colour. You don't have to use the spray can. You will have to use some sort of primer. Going back to bare basics. Okay, if you were building this kit, you would need 10 pots of paint, so that's 16 quid, right? And your glues and all that. But 16 quid, right? And your X28 thinner, so you're up to about £21, £22. To do a basic interpretation of this kit, you're looking at £22 in paints. If you want to follow the build and do it the same as what I'm doing, you would need about £55 worth of paint. Choice is yours. I mean, I don't have a big budget. I'm not working at the moment, but I've gradually built up. I'm on my 12th bike build, so I've got lots of the colours that are normally used. But just buy the pots you need at the time, and unless you're flush, you want to go for full sets. So I hope this has been an insight into, first of all, the kit, how to remove the chrome, tools required for starting this build, and the paints and items that I'm going to be using in this build, aimed at the novice, not particularly aimed at the guy who wants to see how I build it, but aimed at the novice. I hope to make my videos instructional and informative. Now I'm just looking at my camera here and there's 42 minutes just in this clip. So I'm going to call it quits for now. Part 2 of the video will be checking on my chrome removal and building, prepping parts, getting them ready out for paint. What will I put together first? Sub-assemblies, stuff like that. So for now, Terry from Smooth Workshop. See you soon. Bye.